Do the Work is an amazing book, and I just want to thank Stephen Pressfield because I've just read through my book Insight before pressing record, and there is a lot of motivation here. And whether you want to pursue anything you're trying to go for, whether it's career, your health, or anything else, this is a great a book to look at and to figure out where do you want to go in life, what is your trajectory, and is it worth it? Those are the questions you should be asking, and Stephen Pressfield finds a great way to find that balance and attack those questions, and it's just a great book, honestly. So the three lessons we're going to cover in this book, and thank you to all the references I've used. Check them out in the description. The first is that if your work truly matters to you, the fear around it will never subside. This is something I've thought about with my YouTube channel and all of the YouTube channels I'm putting content on. The fear around it has never left. It's always been a constant battle of, do I continue? Am I still doing good? Do I need to improve? What do I need to plan? Those things always stay with me, and reading his book has showed me that it's not something irregular, something normal, because if you are seeking to achieve the best in something and to try your best, you will always have some sort of fear in that way. We always think that if we practice enough, we'll get so good, we'll never have any problems with our work ever again. But that's not true. He gives a great example with Henry Fonda. Henry Fonda was so obsessed with acting that he had to throw up before coming on stage every single time, even when he was 75 years old and a world famous actor already. If you had to throw up every single time for nearly 75 years, or nearly 60 years, let's say. By year one, I would have quit. So Henry was very passionate about what he was doing with acting. And this is a great example for you. If you're someone who, before doing what you're doing, every time you feel that nervous feeling, it's not something irregular. It just shows that you're trying to do your best at it. So it shouldn't be something you should be worried about. And as long as you're striving to do the best that you can do, that should be something that you should be content with. If you truly care about your work, you'll always be worried about your performance. And that's a good thing, because it means you're still trying to get better. So don't stop when you're afraid, and instead move on in spite of fear. After all, this is the definition of courage. It's just Stephen finds a great way to flip the tables and turn this fear into a reason for you to be courageous. And there's not many people out there that have that mindset, and Stephen having this sort of mindset is very inspiring and something you should take on and try to challenge the difficulties you face in your life with that same courage. Flip the tables and make it a reason for you to continue, to prove to yourself and to prove to everyone else that you care about that you can do great things, you can accomplish your passions, as long as you stay committed and you believe in yourself wholly. Don't take action and reflect at the same time. Guess what the worst time to edit a blog is? Right after you wrote it. The same can go for recording a video. The worst time to consider things is right after you record it. It will be impossible to objectively reflect on your work because you just finished it and are naturally proud of what you did. And you should be. But that's why it's important to give yourself some temporal and physical distance before judging your work. This was something that I practiced when I was writing my newsletter post and figuring out the balance of reflecting on something and giving it space, because if you review it immediately after you write it, you're going to be very biased, and I found that it's better to give yourself some time. And it almost falls in line with that Albert Einstein quote that let's see if you guys remember it in the comments. It's went out of my head, but I know there's an Albert Einstein quote about insanity. And if you do the same thing over and over again in the same mindset or something along those lines. Also, when in doubt, don't reflect at all. And this piece of advice is targeted to overthinkers and overanalyzers who immediately after they do something, before they finish it or publish it, they analyze every little detail about it and they end up giving up in the process because they've analyzed every single thing about what they're doing not in a critical way, not in an effective way, but in a way that is detrimental to their progress and to their growth. And it causes them to never do anything beneficial, and to never actually try at anything, because they're always they're always their own biggest hater, and they always take themselves down before anyone else can. For example, I found it's much easier to just write another blog post instead of perfectly editing the last one. That's why I usually write, press publish, and instantly write more. I believe that it's a better sign of progress if you are someone who puts out more stuff and tries to slowly improve, as opposed to someone who is always stuck on their first thing. They're always stuck on their first post, their first exercise, their first thing, and they never progress because they're always trying to edit that first aspect of what they're trying to do, so they never really put it out. And it's that perfectionist side of you that wants everything to be perfect and everything to align like the stars, and have a pony fly off somewhere, have a rainbow and a leprechaun come out, and have the curtains, the red curtains pop out like a Disney show. If you take the perfectionist side out of it and just but just tell yourself that it's not going to be perfect. It never will be. It helps you start and helps you put out things, even if you think it's mediocre at the start. As long as you get out of this rat hole of perfectionism, overthinking, overanalyzing, analysis paralysis, that is the first step you should take. And moving on from there, you will see a lot more progress, as opposed to staying in that rat hole and never progressing in your life. Third thing, your work should be the biggest reward for your work. When you're down and about to give up, look at what you've accomplished already and let that drive you to doing even more. Then ask yourself these two questions. How badly do I want this? Why do I want this? You should be totally committed to it and feel like you have no other choice but to do it, because that's the kind of work worth pursuing. This is a piece of advice that I personally took, and let my work be the motivation for my work and let it be the reward. Allowed myself to reflect on the content I put out, my intention behind everything I'm doing, and my passion for things, and that's really helped me a lot. And I hope this Steven Pressfield's work here and his advice here has gone through to you in some sort of way, that asking yourself the questions, how badly do I want this and why do I want this, allow you to start to analyze yourself and figure out what is my motivations behind things. And also looking at your previous work, whatever it is, whether it's content creation, whatever it could be, whether it's your experience at your career, your educational life, looking at the things that you've accomplished will help you tremendously with the motivation you need to keep going. Because if you're someone who's accomplished some things in that field, you see the future as a brighter place, because you realize that I've accomplished at least something, and that's proof I can accomplish more. So I hope Steven Pressfield's work has been beneficial. I really like this book. You should definitely check it out, and it's a great avenue for motivation and inspiration for future things you want to do.